Joe, what happened in that third quarter?
Lost our offensive purpose, lost our game plan discipline, allowed them to get out in transition, get second chance shots, didn't guard the three-point line.
This is your fourth home loss. I know I asked you that question in practice yesterday, but again, you're 500 at home. How does that keep happening?
I don't think that has anything to do with the fact that, we won 3 out of the 4 quarters. We got away from who we are in the third quarter, whether it's home or away. It's the details, it's the margins, it's the little things. We've shown we can do it both home and away, and I don't think that matters as much as what our mindset is during certain stretches.
When it's going like that, I mean, you gave up 46 points in that third. Obviously, if you knew how to stop it, you would have stopped it. But, I mean, that's where along the way could it have been stopped where it wasn't?
Get better shots, don't turn it over, and don't foul, and don't give up offensive rebounds, and don't give up threes.
You spoke at practice about needing to dial back into that urgency from the last few games of the Philadelphia series. How did you think your team adjusted to a totally different type of series in this Miami matchup?
I thought the first half was good, and I thought we just let go of the rope in the third quarter, lost that sense of urgency. Adjusting to the fact that we played harder than them in the first half, and they played harder than us in the second half, third quarter.
They shot higher than 50% from 3. Was that them hitting shots? Did you see something in terms of getting out on them?
That kind of goes back to some of our game plan execution as far as taking away certain personnel. Lowry hit one in transition, which he's great at. Love hit one in transition, which he hunts. We lost sight of Strus a couple times. He hit a deep one. So I think it's just more about personnel tendencies, game plan execution.
And evaluation of the fourth quarter execution down the stretch, what did you see there on the offensive
It was
side?
much better than our third quarter defensive execution.
Joe, you called a timeout, I think, after a stop with 3.5 minutes left in the game. What were you telling the team you were looking for, and how come you think you guys turned it over like several times after that?
Just our spacing. It was a use it or lose it. Had 3, used one before 3. Got to our spacing. Floor wasn't balanced, and they were able to shift off of us.
And going up against Spoelstra, who's constantly making adjustments on the fly, willing to kind of call timeouts and change things up so quickly, how did you balance trying to let things play out in the ways you usually do versus having to seize control?
I called 2 in the first quarter.
Thinking more like the third quarter.
No, I don't call 2 in the first quarter. Save it for the third quarter run.
Joe, just to your right, just a thought on being down 1-0. You were down last year. You're down last year to the same team, 1-0. As you look ahead,
Yes, we are down 1-0.
What things do you need to do now as far as
game plan discipline, transition defense, defend without fouling, guard the three-point line, have a better understanding of personnel tendencies, and then on the offensive end, this team does a great job of taking advantage of bad spacing and bad offensive organization.
Joe, you said they played harder than you in the third quarter. That's what they do. They play harder than their opponent. How are you guys unprepared for that? And
We were prepared. We played harder than them in the first half, and then they outplayed us for 1 quarter. So we were prepared for it. We had the right mindset heading into the game.
but
No. We had the right mindset heading into the game. We played harder than they did, and we were prepared. And we did a great
third quarter
job.
made all the difference, right?
It did, but we were prepared, and then we let go of the rope. And so there's 2 storylines here. It's one, we were ready to play, and we had a great job executing on both ends of the floor in the first half. And it's about the consistency of they're going to continue to play. And so we have to be prepared for when we do outplay them, that they're going to respond and we have to respond. And so we were prepared. We just let go of the rope.
Yeah, why did you let go of the rope?
I don't know. It's a great question. And that's what we have to figure out. But it came from our attention to detail. But we were prepared for the game. We were prepared for them, and our guys came out and played. And then we have to be better in the third quarter.
Joe, you've mentioned a few times getting away from the game plan. What specifically veered out of what you guys were trying to do, I guess specifically for the defense you're referring to?
Just giving up threes in transition. I thought they got out in transition. They were able to get some leak outs. We got cross-matched a lot in transition, which put us into some difficult spots in the half court and just lost sight of their shooters. And then they got some offensive rebounds on us in that third quarter as well.
You mentioned the preparation being where it needed to be. You know, Al saying what he did in practice yesterday, and you know, Malcolm mentioning that. Did anything kind of, you think, spill over from a
We won
preparation
3 out of the
standpoint?
4 quarters. We lost 1 quarter because we dropped our sense of urgency. So no.
And was that just from kind of the position you were in going into halftime, you think?
Yeah, I mean, I think some of that has to do with it. I think also we played harder than they did in the first half, so naturally they're going to respond. And when you're playing at a certain level, especially against a team like this, you can't just think that what you did in the past is good enough. And so we have to adjust our mindset regardless of what we're doing in one quarter. We have to raise our level of urgency. We have to raise our mindset knowing that they're going to respond. And that's what this series is about, is how long can we stay the more competitive, the more physical, the more disciplined basketball team.
You mentioned personnel tendencies a couple times. There were a couple times where you guys doubled on to Jimmy, and he was able to get guys to threes. Is that sort of what you were looking for in terms of trying to get the ball out of his hands, or was that more of the latter of kind of losing track of shooters on the perimeter?
I think it was just like there's always freedom to make plays, you know. And I think if a possession kind of warrants an opportunity to make a play, you try and go and make it. And so I think on those couple ones you're talking about, we just tried to make a play and it didn't go our way. Yeah, but some of the threes are like the catch and shoot ones for Strus, the transition for Lyra, the transition for Love, the Vincent ones. You know, those are the ones that you got to work to take away.
And you mentioned spacing as an issue down the stretch. The ball movement was obviously really good in the first half. I think Mark said 10 assists. You guys had 15. Obviously fewer in the second half. Was there anything specific Miami did, or was that more of you guys getting away from what you were doing in the first half?
I mean, I obviously think they played harder. I think they give up 40 points in the paint in the first half. They're going to make an adjustment. But I thought because we couldn't get stops in the third quarter, we weren't able to get out and get them cross-matched and get them into 5-on-4 situations, you know.
Joe, you talk about let go of the rope. That has been a pretty consistent thing throughout the course of the season. You guys have multiple instances of that. Why haven't you now in the Eastern Conference Final, why haven't you guys been able to break that habit?
Yeah, I think it just goes back to like who can stay the more competitive, physical, detailed team the longest. And so we do it for long stretches. And, you know, we just have lulls at times, and we got to be better at not having those.
Presented by your New England Ford dealers. Built for America. Built Ford proud.